as I leave office. For you know, they wanted to put me in as president for life. I sadly told them I am not interested. I feel that's too much for one man to bear. And Martha would disapprove as well. And rightly so, for I did much before my 8 years in office. And I felt that 8 years was enough, considering I did not want the job. You are looking at not only your first president, but also the most reluctant president, because I never campaigned for the job, nor did I want the job, but the job was thrust upon me. I'm sure some of you can relate to that out there. But God had other plans, as we saw. So some of the things that I penned here for my successor, who of course some of you have heard of him, John Adams. John Adams took over as second president of the United States. Those of you who are taking notes for the quiz that will be following. Oh yes, I'm a teacher. I quiz. I want you to remember. I'm sure all of you remember all of your 40s. Are we up to 47 now, presidents? Yes? Well, we'll keep it simple. Number one. So, I wrote down some of these things because I wanted to share with John Adams, who would be taking over, some of the things that I already saw were becoming issues, and I was only the first president. So I could only imagine that more problems would be following. It is therefore the reason why I chose to write these down. Now, I never gave this farewell address, as some of the presidents later did, but you can find it, I believe, now on this internet device thing. And it is printed for all to see. In fact, it was more printed once it was written than your Declaration of Independence. So at one point in time in history, it was very popular, and people knew of my farewell address. Now I share with you today a farewell address that perhaps you are not familiar with. Hence the importance there for doing so. One of the first points in my farewell address was that of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. Let me be clear. Religion and morality are indispensable supports. So that, I found, was very important. I myself, worshiping in an Anglican church, I'm proud to be with you in a worship house of God. This was very dear to my heart. And I must, of course, tell the truth. I cannot tell a lie. Yes, I was religious. More importantly, I believed in the Lord Jesus Christ. Do not be tempted by those that write about me and say that I was a deist, for that is a lie. I don't care what it says on your internet or in books you read, because humans err, do they not? There, I'm clear with that. Call me religious? Yes. A believer of Christ? Absolutely. Willing to die for that right to say so in this country. Another one of my points. This one might be a bit touchy. Never let the country fall into debt. Now let me be clear on this point. This is not to be taken lightly. I myself practice this, and they always say, practice what you preach. When I passed away from this great earth, Martha had no debts. It's important. Debt is a slave. You must free yourself from that. Especially on a country level, the president should never allow his country to be into a debt which the country cannot absorb. Another point, never let America fall into forming foreign alliances with other countries. Why did I write this? Simply because we must keep America's business America. Is it not enough? Do we not have enough problems of our own that we import others? Watch this. This can be very, very dangerous. And even in my own 8 years of presidency, I had to deal with this. Citizens demanding that we form alliances. Another point, always tell the truth. Never withhold information that is important to your nation. Through scandalous lies, betrayals, hiding things from your public. This is a disgrace. We are all Americans, are we not? Therefore, as president, you lead by example. Why on earth would you hold anything from your citizens who appointed you this position? Tell the truth. It's much easier. Another point. Watch those southern states. They're stubborn. I know this. I had to deal with them. Tried to get them to agree on a constitution. You have 50 wonderful states now. You should be proud. We had 13. I can only imagine the president today having a difficult job with 50. We could barely handle 13. No one agreed on anything. Watch these southern states because they may decide that their states' rights are more important than the federal government, and by doing so, dismiss themselves from the union. Be careful how you talk with them. And one of their biggest issues is slavery. It will cause problems. Mark my words. And finally, do not let America fall into political parties. Please be watchful of this. For it only divides a nation that cannot afford to be divided. Transpose this to the body of Christ. Is there division in the body of Christ? Or are we one with our Savior? The answer should be simple. Shall it not be the same for our nation if we were founded under God to live up to those expectations, if earthly possible? Now, I said these things because I felt them to be issues that you would be facing in the future. We must have rules to follow in order to govern us, much like the Holy Bible gives us rules of decency, rules to live by in faith, love, hope. Shall we not transpose this onto our government as well? certainly didn't have those in my day. That's for sure. Whatever that was. There. Oh, goodness. I think we're having... I liked it better just talking. Now, I must give you a brief history of myself, though, because some of you may recognize me. I try to maintain my stature. It's very difficult in the afterlife, of course, to appear the same as how I left this world. But I say these things because I warn you, because of my own life struggles. We never told you that America would be easy. Quite the contrary. We knew America was going to be difficult, impossible. You shouldn't even exist as a nation unless ordained by God. You do believe in miracles. You're living in one. America is a miracle. Naturally. So how did I get here? Born 1732, February 22nd. I'm not even on most calendars anymore. Sad to say, they've lumped it into President's Day. It's not your fault. It's not your fault you forget on the test when Washington's birthday was, because you get confused by President's Day. They thought to honor all the presidents, which is fine. I'm fine with that. You didn't have to have a Washington's birthday for my sake. But I was born February 22nd, for the record. And throughout my years, before I died, I endured my share of struggles. Spiritually, physically, emotionally. Let's start with the physical. I suffered from, throughout my life, mumps, smallpox, malaria 4 times, rickets, dysentery, tuberculosis, pneumonia, a hip infection, typhoid fever, 2 near-death bouts with influenza. And by the time I took my last breath, I was almost deaf and almost blind. I suffered, but I endured, only because the Lord wanted me to endure. Many of those afflictions took my friends, my Americans. Smallpox, tuberculosis, pneumonia alone would kill. How did I live through all this? Unless ordained by God. My own life, a living miracle. And yet I thought nothing of it. Or did I? Because of course my faith assured me that through all this, God was with me. And this was just the afflictions. Then we get to your great American Revolutionary War. And before that, the French and Indian War, where my coat was riddled with at least 7 holes from musket balls. Yet I was not touched. Others dying around me, and I'm not touched. Why is this? How does this happen, if not by the hand of God? Not by my doing. Out in front, obviously getting shot at. And if that wasn't enough, through those struggles, I later met Martha, and I adopted her 2 wonderful stepchildren, Jackie and Patsy. Patsy suffered epilepsy, and she died at 14. That's hard for any parent to go through. Jackie died later in camp, serving me during the American Revolution from typhoid fever. But I had wonderful step-grandchildren. We raised them at Mount Vernon. But I knew the struggles of family, of life. Yes, it's hard. I endured with you, Americans. And then the American Revolution riding in front of my men because my men were so afraid to fight. Someone had to lead them. I figured if God had gotten me through the French and Indian War, what's another war? And this war was for us. This war was for our freedoms and liberties, which hopefully you still enjoy to this day, because that's what we wanted. That's why we were willing to die for it. You may take it lightly now, but we did not. I was willing to die for this country, which didn't even exist yet. It was an idea, a dream, a hope, liberty, pursuit of happiness for all. What is that? Concepts, ideas, classroom talk, lifestyle. Lifestyle. Willing to die for? I could have asked my men going through at Valley Forge, the cold, no shoes, bloody footprints in the snow. Worth it? You ask any one of those brave men. It was worth something to them. Willing to risk it all for this, for what you get to enjoy today. So what does it mean to be President of the United States? What is that? A title? Is that inherited like kingship? Are we appointed by God? As King George III felt? This oppressive tyrant? Who today citizens dare compare President Trump to King George III? I beg to differ. I know what a tyrant is and what a king is. You Americans, fortunately, do not. We suffered under a king. We had no right to protest. They beheaded people in England for this. So president, what is this? An office? A desk job? No, greater than that. Serving a nation. The term president had never existed before America. It's a new idea. We try it out. Not a democracy, as some incorrectly say today. We need our democracy back. We never really had a true democracy, truth be told. Democratic republic? Yes. Difference? Yes. Our representatives govern for us. Something new, we try. See if it worked. An experiment? Yes, but not just something that we cooked up together and then said, okay, good luck. Figure it out. Good luck. No rules, no recipe, nothing to follow. Just figure it out. When trials come, figure it out. No, no. All these signers of this document here, this Declaration of Independence, which is why we celebrate the 4th of July. Some of my students didn't even know why fireworks were shot on 4th of July. Oh, it's just something to do? Someone's birthday? Well, yeah, our nation's birthday. How about that? 250 this year? Well done, America. Well done. And the reason why I have it here, of course, is because being the first president, they do allow me some favors, and I could go to Washington and take this. No, I'm kidding. This is not the real copy. But it stands here to show what these men were willing to die for. Every one of these signatures is not just a fancy signature to show off. It's treasonous. Every one of these men suffered something. Property loss, lives lost. Signing that document is signing your life away, literally. The king would have no mercy. A president shall have mercy. A president will not be a king. Nor will they ever, or should they ever, be the same. Or we even say in here, if that even comes close to happening, truthfully, you are to dissolve the government. You have the power to do so. That's how much we detest a king in this country. So I took my office seriously. The president, I didn't need to get paid. I had enough monetary wealth in my life. I didn't even want the job, as I said. Martha was unhappy with the first 4, though she said I did a good job. Can't argue with Martha. If she said I did a good job, I can say it. But another 4 she was not happy with. For she wanted to spend some time with me, and I understand that. I gave a lot for this country. Some of the key issues of this nation, and you still have them today. They haven't totally gone away, nor maybe can they. And maybe that's not the idea. Maybe like sin, until Christ's coming, sin will never leave this world. We know that. So is that not the same part of America? Some of these issues will never leave us until Christ comes. That's part of his promise. The curse and then the blessing. Right? We long for the blessing. Slavery. Oh, yes. Still around today. Racial rights, slavery issues, all stemming from that same word, slavery. Where did this come from? It was imported upon us. This is not an American problem. We weren't a country yet. The blame clearly falls on African chieftains who sold their own people. Who can do this? Who does that to their own people? For money? There's the root of evil. The Portuguese, and then finally the British, who imported these slaves into America before we were a nation. So it's not an American issue from the start. It was gifted upon us as a curse, and now we had to figure out how to deal with it. Oh, and did it cause problems? Absolutely. Don't think that just I'm in the afterlife that I don't see what's going on in this great country. I keep an eye on things. I watch you. I know what's going on. That's why I warned you. Slavery. Yes, it became an issue. Yes, you had a terrible civil war because you didn't listen to what I wrote down. I told you. Slavery is a curse. I released my slaves upon my death. Martha had orders from my will to release my slaves simply because throughout my life, amongst other things that I was going through, like birthing you a nation, I had to deal with slavery. And it was in here, but Jefferson had to leave it out because Franklin said that if it was in here, we'd alienate the southern states. So we had to cater this to keep a nation. Bury the problem of slavery so that we looked better than we were. Only to deal with this later. Much like you throw your unwanted items in the closet to suffer a later fate. They don't go away, do they? Must deal with them. States' rights. Was the Civil War fought over states' rights, or was it slavery? I hear both these days. Some want to make it a slavery issue. Some want to make it a states' rights issue. How about both? How about you can't have one without the other? It's a state's right to own or not own slaves. So it's a states' rights issue which caused the choosing to have slavery. Problems, issues. We still have them today, states' rights. Strong central government or strong state government. Whose problem is it? Wisconsin's problem or the government's problem? Of course, no one wants to take responsibility because that's a burden that many people don't like. Government rights, states' rights. You will have this issue. you follow what we wrote, it will get sorted out. But it's not an end result, right? It's like being sinless in this world. We can't achieve it. But it doesn't mean we take the option to do nothing. We must still fight for it, even though we know that the goal cannot be achieved on this earth until Christ comes. But we don't quit. We're Americans. I didn't quit you when I could have. Let's look at some of your presidents, shall we? You've had a few. After me, you had John Adams. Very conservative, very Christian man, much like myself. He said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. You see any separation of church and state in that statement? He's the president, second president, says, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. What are we afraid of? Being religious? Is that a brand we don't want to wear? It is wholly inadequate for the government of any other. That's a custom-fit garment. America, it fits you well to be religious. Do it. After John Adams, we had Thomas Jefferson, our first liberal president. I chose him to be in my cabinet. We didn't get along with everything, but he wrote a wonderful document with a few changes. He wanted us to be like France, though. He had visited France and was very impressed with how the French run things and thought America should be more like that. He also had some ideas of being more agricultural. We should all be farmers. Well, I was a farmer, so I can understand that. And I loved farming, but I don't think every American has the gift to be a farmer. A bit short-sighted of him. He did give you the Louisiana Purchase, though, so your country doubled in size. That was probably one of the better things that Jefferson did. Said he balanced the budget, but he did not. Said he was against war, but he got us into one. I never did that. I kept us out of wars. That's probably a good thing. Then you had James Madison, little Jimmy. He was very short. He got you in the War of 1812 and got you out of that one as well. He was the first president to run from the White House. Yes, because the White House was burned. Oh yes, the War of 1812. The British came back. Round 2. They burned Washington to the ground, which is why the White House is the White House. It's not a racial thing, folks. It's because the White House got burned and it was blackened, and so they painted it white. James Monroe. He gets the era of good feelings. He also had the Panic of 1819. Missouri Compromise, Monroe Doctrine. John Quincy Adams, son of John Adams, strong nationalist, opposed slavery. Most of these fellows after me, you'll note, did oppose slavery. But did they do anything about it? To recognize one as a problem, that's one thing, but to do something about the problem? We sin every day, but what do we do about it? Why do we have confession? Because we're aware of our sin, our iniquities. Therefore, we do something about it. It doesn't abolish the sin. But slavery could be abolished. No one wants to do anything about it. I warned them. They're not following my... It's tough. It's difficult. I understand that. Andrew Jackson got us in the Panic of 1837. Another panic. America, you'll be fine. You're going to have a lot of these little panics. Martin Van Buren. William Henry Harrison. Oh, poor William Henry Harrison. You really can't judge this poor man. He only was in office for 31 days. Oh, yes. I wish I had that job. That would have been an easy president. 31 days. Yes, he disobeyed his mother, though. You see, that's why my mother was so worried about me and all my ailments during my childhood and my young age. He stayed out in the rain giving a speech without a coat. And you know how they always say, you'll catch the death of you if you stand out in the rain? Well, it's not a wives' tale because he died. Caught pneumonia and died. Whether or not it was related to that incident, one will never know. The short life of William Henry Harrison. John Tyler, he vetoed the Bank of the United States. Now, Alexander Hamilton and he served under me, did great work during the Revolutionary War. He gave you the national bank system. Most of you approve, yes? Good idea? Or would you rather have every state with different currency? Because that's what you had. Imagine that, going to New Hampshire and you can't buy something because you don't have New Hampshire currency. Yes, that's what we had at first, America. You've grown. We now have one currency and it's much easier. James Polk got you into the Mexican-American War. We didn't need that. But he did give you Oregon country with Britain, and so that you got some more Northwest states under your belt. Zachary Taylor gave you the Underground Railroad. So instead of dealing with slavery, they just supported the Underground Railroad. Let's just deal with slavery rather than abolish it. Had the gold rush. America getting rich quick. Had a congressional debate of 1850. Millard Fillmore. This one I always threw my students. Is he a president? Millard Fillmore, his name just sounds so odd. Like that couldn't be right. Don't get that one wrong on the quiz. Millard Fillmore, 1850 to 1853. He did the Compromise of 1850 and the Fugitive Slave Law of 1850. Again, didn't do anything about slavery, but acknowledged it. Franklin Pierce helped start the Transcontinental Railroad, so you're connecting sea to shining sea now. That's wonderful, America. You're growing. Kansas-Nebraska Act. Of course, then you had the Bleeding Kansas issues. Again, over slavery. You're going to have issues unless you do something about it. Right? You'll notice that theme even today, maybe. James Buchanan, he had the Dred Scott case, Panic of 1857. And again, didn't do anything about slavery, and then left it in the lap of poor Abraham Lincoln, who now it's debated whether or not Lincoln or I were your best presidents. I'll leave that up to you. I don't play favorites. I know who I like. But Lincoln was a great man. He's made great simply because the times made him great, because he finally dealt with slavery. Finally a man willing to sacrifice himself to fix a problem in America. Imagine if we all did that. Wow, what you could accomplish, America. If you all put your mind to doing something, we all could be great. Lincoln, Emancipation Proclamation, gets rid of slavery officially, and then of course is assassinated in office by John Wilkes Booth. Yes, assassination, it's not a new thing. Charlie Kirk. Shocking, but a reality of the problems in this country, yes? Deserving? No. No one deserves that. Andrew Johnson tries to fix the problems after Lincoln. Dismal failure with his Reconstruction program. Not everybody is suited to this job, let me tell you. He was impeached. Ulysses S. Grant, great officer for your Civil War, got the job done. As for a president, he would not get my vote. Too much corruption. You didn't tell the truth. Scandals, lies, deceiving. Don't do that to America. Tell the truth. Really. A lot of scandal. Panic of 1873, that was a big one. Rutherford Hayes. Civil Rights Act of 1875, Jim Crow laws. Again, racial slavery issues. We still haven't fixed the problem yet. James Garfield, assassinated. Chester Arthur, one of my favorites. I like Chester Arthur. Who's that? Was he a president, Chester Arthur? He had wonderful sideburns. Beautiful. Pendleton Act of 1883 attempted to stop political corruption. Political corruption? Even back then? I have news for you. The country was founded on political corruption. Grover Cleveland proposed a lower tariff. Yeah, tariff isn't a new thing. We've had tariffs up, down. Do they work? Do they not work? We've had presidents try them. Benjamin Harrison. Grover Cleveland back again in office. William McKinley assassinated. Teddy Roosevelt gave you the Panama Canal. Progressive. And the Panic of 1907. William Taft, trust breaker, break up those trusts, right? Those trusts were taking over America. Progressive. Then we had Woodrow Wilson. My biggest fault against Woodrow Wilson, not an honest man. He didn't live up to the office as far as I'm concerned. He told the Americans he would never let you get involved in the Great War, and yet he did exactly the opposite. Got us involved in a war we didn't need to get into. I feel one of the greatest mistakes of this country that you have been led to follow was this president. Just tell the truth. If you want to get involved in World War I, then do it. But don't tell your public you're not going to do it and then do it. And it backfired on him because his 14 points didn't work and we weren't even involved in the League of Nations. And yet on his dying deathbed, he said that if we didn't do something, within 20 years we'd be in another world war. Well, why didn't you do something more when you were in office? That would be my question. A dying man's advice. Too little, too late. Warren Harding, Roaring 20s. You got the automobile. Aviation, flying things. Wow. America's moving. And then, of course, we had the flappers, which Martha would not approve of because Martha was a very modest dresser. I prefer those days, those flappers of the 20s. I don't know what America was thinking there. Let's just dismiss that and go on. Corruption. Teapot Dome scandal. Anytime you see scandals, it's not a good thing, America, but this is your history I'm just reminding you of. A soft president. Do we want a soft president? No. We don't want a hard one either. We kind of want that Goldilocks, right? In between. Let's get a president that's just in between, just right. Not too cold, not too hot. Is that what we're going for here? Calvin Coolidge. Herbert Hoover. The Great Depression starts. Black Tuesday. Oh, the stock market. Oh, it's the end of the world. No, it's not. Here you are. Isn't that funny how things work in history? I didn't even think I could get this country off the ground in my day. And now look at you. 250 years later, you've gotten through all this. Great Depression. World War I already. Which, of course, leads to World War II because of Wilson's failure. Then FDR gets the problem in his lap. Does the same thing. He does not learn from his mistakes or learn from previous mistakes that Wilson did. He tells America we won't get involved in World War II, and what does he do? Gets us involved in World War II. Don't think he didn't know about Pearl Harbor, because he did. The truth is out now because the documents have been released. Of course FDR knew that Pearl Harbor was a target and would be attacked and sacrificed those brave men to get us into war. Great job, Mr. President. Just telling you the truth, because it's out now. Served 4 terms. Ugh. I would not, my hat off to him. I would not have wanted that job. Harry Truman, he ends the war with the atomic bomb, enters in the new age of nuclear, doomsday, all those movies and books about nuclear warfare. Does America really want to face this as our future? Dismal future for our children to think of, right? Division of Germany, United Nations, post-war economy, Cold War, right? Dwight D. Eisenhower. Space race. Eisenhower was a good president. John F. Kennedy. Peace Corps. Bay of Pigs. Cuban Missile Crisis got you out of that one. Perhaps another World War. Arms race. Tax cuts. That's always good. People like tax cuts. But then assassinated. Somebody had it out for that Kennedy family. They had a few of those. Lyndon Johnson. Civil Rights Act. Voting Rights Act. They got us involved in war, finished up with Vietnam there, War on Poverty, Great Society, Medicare, Medicaid. Richard Nixon tried to finally finish up in that Vietnam thing, and then was, of course, he resigned under the Watergate scandal. He had another problem, scandals, right? Gerald Ford, kind of a quiet time there, 74 to 77. Jimmy Carter, rising inflation, oil crisis, Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, Iranian hostage crisis. President Ronald Reagan, neoconservative. Reduced the size of the government, cut taxes, shrunk the federal budget, increased military spending, and of course increased the national debt. But also increased friendly relations with the Soviet Union. So that's good. That's good, hopefully. George Bush, got the Persian Gulf War, Americans with Disabilities Act. Bill Clinton favored minorities and women. Finally moving forward with some balance of racial and getting the women involved, right? Which Abigail Adams talked about in our day. She wanted that. Don't forget the women. There's no women on this document. So. Abigail Adams always said, don't forget the women. We were behind you, you know. We deserve some credit. Absolutely, Abigail. Another George Bush. We have Barack Obama. Donald Trump. Interesting character. I don't know if I'd pick him as a presidential material, but he's done a pretty good job of things. At least he does what he says or says what he does. Joe Biden, and then now you are currently on Donald Trump. So America, what have you been doing for 250 years? There you are in a nutshell. There's your resume. Your accomplishments, your failures. It's okay, America, to fail. I failed. I always practiced in my life, it's not about the mistakes you make, because that makes you greater. Just don't make those same mistakes twice. Right? Try to learn from your mistakes, and then apply that going forward. And do that with your own life, but then also do that with what? Your responsibilities, your jobs, and especially the job of President of this United States. That is that higher calling. You owe that to your Americans. You're not living for yourself. Oh yes, you get benefits from doing so, but you serve the Americans. And I think if presidents remember this, no matter who they are, remember that. Less of yourself and more of. And is that not what the Bible teaches us? Serve others before yourself. Can we not do that as a president? That's what I attempted to do for my 8 years. Was I a good president? I can't tell myself. I did what was needed, what I felt was necessary for this country to exist for the future, which is why I bothered to give these warnings. And I knew you would fail. I knew your country, your government, your presidents would let you down at times because they're human. We do fail. Before the eyes of God, we are all sinners. We are all burdened by the guilt of sin. And yet we have great ones that come forth periodically in history and give you great things if they follow the principles of the Bible. It's as simple as that. And yet the most difficult thing for humans to do. So be proud, America, as you remember this 250 years. I think 1 4th of July is not enough to honor this document. Go forth now in your future. Maybe another 250 years? I don't know. I can't tell you that. God did not give me that information to lay upon you and tell you that you'll be around for another 75 years. No, I don't know this. But know what I have taught you. Give it another look. Read this document for yourself. It's real. This is your history. The men that wrote this were willing to give everything for this nation. There had to be something in that. Something worth fighting for, yes. Dying for, yes. These ideas, these principles, we hold true to our cause and our country only under the Bible. Sacred, yes. As man can do, yes, because we are not directly inspired by God, divine like the Word of God, and yet we were driven to put our ideas on paper and then live up to them, no matter the odds. And the odds were great against us. This should not have happened, as I said. And yet, here it is. It did. Now go forward in your future. Look back at times and see where you've come. I know it's a tumultuous time. You have protesting. You have discord. These political parties I spoke of, they're there. They're real. And they're hateful towards one another. Bind those together, and we will come back to the nation that you should be. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. If we all hold these truths dear to us as Americans and start treating each other like Americans and not as the enemy, we will prosper another 250 years, if need be. So America, go forward. Cling to your Constitution. That's why we gave it to you. If you want to burn it and destroy it, that's up to you. That's on you. We worked hard for it. A lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. So that's part of it. We're going to fight. We're going to argue in America. That's just the way it is. But then you don't give up and you hash it out, and the majority, hopefully, you vote, and you do it democratically, and you come to an agreement that will hopefully fit what your version of the pursuit of happiness is for you as Americans. It's open for you. The only way it gets closed is if you destroy what we gave you. Then you're on your own. You have to start something totally new. So we gave you these gifts. Use them wisely before God Almighty.